one of our politicians a 2-minute chance to introduce themselves and tell what issues they have on their minds for the legislative session starting tomorrow.
I'm Senator Frank Miller. I've been in the General Assembly for 15 years. I've been in the Senate for the last 3 years. And I represent District 40, which is 3 precincts of Fulton County from Robertson Fire Station over Peachtree Corners. And I represent Peachtree Corners. And I represent Dunwoody down to 85. It's about 170,000 people in the Senate District, where most of the House districts are about 55,000 people. And I guess a couple of major issues going forward for us locally. Number one is probably the Health Representative Taylor, which you're talking about, is on the independent school system bill. We think that's pretty critical for the future of this community and surrounding communities, quite frankly, the state in many areas. The other bill I've gotten, and thanks to really work with citizens, Bob Renee's here, and he introduced me to an attorney from Stone Mountain, who put together about a 20-page book for me on your property tax appeal process. And he lives through that pleasant experience in DeKalb and Fulton County. And it's really a reformation of the process where you'll be given the evidence in advance, you'll be able to record it. If you end up going to court, there'll be no mystery about what was said when you talk with those 3 people behind that desk. It's not a very friendly process at this point. And I think it's going to get larger and larger because it seems somehow if you live in a new city, your property taxes go up a lot more than if you live in unincorporated DeKalb. The last item, I guess, probably that's very important to me, I'm working on the Lieutenant Governor's initiative, is in the foster care system. We need to look at comprehensive reform of that. We're number 12 in the nation, believe it or not. We're always, unfortunately, going to have children hurt, or unfortunately even killed in state custody. It's going to happen. But we can do a better job, particularly if we involve the nonprofit sector. It's being done in Florida. Governor Neal commented yesterday in the newspaper. 60% of these girls that are picked up for prostitution downtown, 12 to 14, came through our foster care system. So we can do that. So those are some of the key initiatives, and of course the main thing we go down in for, it isn't the wild hog summer, just for the record, it's the budget. And that's the main thing we have to deal with. It'll be a compressed session, which I think some of these gentlemen will talk about. So as always, appreciate you all being here. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm Representative Tom Taylor. I was on the original City Council for Dunwoody. I represent District 79, which is the city of Dunwoody, about half of the city of Doraville, and a slice of Chambly down in the Huntley Hills. Currently, I serve as Vice Chair of the Regulated Industries Committee, which basically regulates everything you need a state license for, everything from barbers to funeral directors to horse racing and alcohol sales. It's a pretty interesting committee. I'm also on Economic Development on the film subcommittee there. I just got appointed to Appropriations, so I'm going to be involved in that process this week. And I serve with both Mike and Fran on a joint committee, which is MARTOC, which is a MARTA Oversight Committee, which is just fun for all of us to deal with all the time. I'm also the only legislative appointee to the MARTA Ethics Board, so I deal with those issues as well. I've represented the state on economic and legislative delegations to both Taiwan and Turkey over the past couple of years. My focus this session, as Fran mentioned, is the independent school system bill. It's not just Dunwoody, but DeKalb County schools are broken right now. We have the second highest millage rate in the state. Our graduation rate in DeKalb County is about 57% for high school, which is abysmal. When the governor had to remove the school board, and he had to remove those 6 members, I disagreed with a couple of people he removed. He didn't have a choice by the law. I think Nancy Chester was doing a great job. But out of the 23 members of the DeKalb delegation, when the governor removed the school board, only 6 of us stood and supported him on that, which meant 17 were fine with the status quo, which was failing. And I think what you're going to see is in May, when we have the primaries, you're going to see a lot of those same people that got removed come back and be reelected to the school board, and we just reset back a couple of years at that point. This is an uphill climb. It's a state constitutional amendment. It requires 2/3 vote in the House and the Senate, plus a statewide referendum. I'm not downplaying how hard this is going to be, but I think we've got the perfect storm right now. We've got our superintendent locked up. We've got the school board removed. It's time to make a move here and do this. The independent school system is financially feasible. The city funded a study, and at the end of the day, with current tax rates, leaving everything the same, with current tax rates and current levels of service, we would run actually a $31 million surplus in the school system, which, getting down the line, could be used. Here we go.
I wasn't even the first one to get it.
I asked Tom to do that because my wife's here, just to let her know it wasn't me.
He talks so fast, I couldn't even do it in 2 minutes. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Jacobs, proud to once again be the Congregation B'nai Torah emissary to Dunwoody UMC. I appreciate y'all having me here each and every year. I represent. Well, I appreciate it's just down Mount Vernon, as a matter of fact. I represent about 3/4 of my district is Georgia's newest city, the city of Brookhaven, just south of 285 from here. And then about 1/4 of my district is in Sandy Springs. I have a portion of Sandy Springs with Wendell and I'm glad to be there.
Thank you.
From Windsor Parkway up to Spalding Drive along Peachtree Dunwoody, basically the entire stretch of Peachtree Dunwoody Road in Sandy Springs is in my district. I chair the MARTA Oversight Committee and also serve on Judiciary with Chairman Willard, Transportation, Insurance, Budget and Fiscal Affairs Oversight. I'll probably, as we get further into the program, talk a lot more about MARTA. There are some good things going on at MARTA. We had some legislation this past year to force the issue of privatization of certain aspects of MARTA's operations with an eye toward making MARTA more efficient so that ultimately, hopefully, we can win some state investment in weaving MARTA into a more regional transit system. I mean, the reality is, as Fulton and DeKalb taxpayers, that we've been carrying the full burden of MARTA for decades now, and it is time to finally start moving the ball forward in terms of weaving the Fulton and DeKalb system, MARTA, Cobb County, Gwinnett County, and Greta into something that is truly more regional. So that is the main thing I am focused on. I look forward to talking more about it as we move forward. Chairman Willard. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Wendell Willard. This is, I think, my 13th year here. 1 year I missed being ill that morning, but glad to be back with you. I'm representing District 51 of the House, and that is part of the Sandy Springs, Roswell, East Roswell, and a little bit of Johns Creek. I'm all on the east side of 400, and I'm also served as city attorney for Sandy Springs, as some of you know, and enjoy that work. I'm chair of the House Judiciary Committee, and some of the things I carry are not the glamorous bills, things like rules of evidence or e-discovery and civil rules of procedure, but it does have a lot to do with what happens to you when you get into court, and so I feel it's important. This past year, we had a great bill that was changing some policy, tremendous changes in our juvenile system in Georgia, and I'm very pleased to have a chance to work with that. We hope that bill will change a lot of the lives of young people who get caught up in our juvenile justice system, and in the past we have too often failed to really try to work with these children on a local basis in the community. We send them off to a state detention facility, and they're in a lockup away from home, away from school, away from their community, and really do not improve. In fact, they most times get worse. So one of the strong emphasis we have in this bill is to keep the children that we can, who are not a danger to the community or to themselves, but to keep them maybe in the community in a sort of a high probationary program by getting counseling, school tutoring, and hopefully change their lives. So it has twofold. One is, first of all, try to save that child's life, but also can bring about great savings to our state by reason of the fact that we lock up a child into a state detention. It costs about $240,000, and put that down.
Very good.
$240 per day, and about $90,000 per year, as opposed to keeping them in the community at about $30 a day. So it's got some benefits twofold. Thank you.
Well, we're about ready to get started.
Right. If before we move forward, there are a couple of other elected officials.
You want me to recognize him?
Yes, please.
Former Mayor Ken Wright sitting down here. Danny Weber. Bob Lust, who's Chief of Staff for Lane Boyer over here. Councilmember John Hennigan is here. Councilmember Brian Croucher is here.
and Judge Stacy Heydrich.
Oh, I'm sorry, Stacy.
The lawyers will take care of the judges. Don't worry.
It's embarrassing watching you guys suck up like that.
All right, what I'll do is I'll try to have one question from this side of the room and then one question from that side of the room and go back and forth. So on this side of the room, do we have the first question? Who has the first question? All right, very good. And questions will be limited to 1 minute.
Thank you. I'm certain you're aware of the tremendous amount of controversy at the Charter Commission meetings with regard to the city's taking over the funding for fire and rescue services from DeKalb County. All of the many residents who provided public comment at these meetings felt that the current charter, which allows the city to take on fire service but requires a citywide vote, should remain unchanged. However, the Charter Commission has recommended to you that the language be added to Section 10337B that gives the mayor and city council the authority to create a special service district fund, or the fire bucket as they call it, for provisions of fire and rescue services, and for the mayor and city council to level ad valorem taxes for these services. So my question is simple. Do you plan to leave the current charter as is to empower the citizens, or do you plan to insert language recommended by the Charter Commission to empower solely the mayor and city council to make these decisions? In other words, do you want to make the citizens...
You've already gone.
What's your position?
You've taken longer than the...
My position is I was on the original city council, and it was on the original charter commission before we had a city. The city council and mayor have always been empowered to provide those services. We voted to contract it out with the CAB, an intergovernmental agreement. That's in place. That's always has been a separate line item on your tax bill. So that is not an that's separate from your city millage rate. So our position, my position on this is leave the charter the same, which basically says that the mayor and city council make those decisions. You know, they're elected to do that. 82% of the people of Dunwoody voted for that original charter with those provisions in it. I think the only change I contemplate making is clarifying that fire millage rate. And this caveat is if the city were to take on those services, I don't know that they will, to cap that at a limit of the average of 5 years of what the cabin charges before. That's city council did empower from that from day one.
Do you agree to insert that language that gives it to the mayor and city council?
It already sits with the mayor and city council and has for 5 years.
Yeah, I think the issue is, if you look at your tax bill, if we want to talk about the millage cap, your tax bill, your rate's been 2.74 ever since the city was formed. There's a cap of 3.04. That is plenty. Dan Weber's sitting there. He drafted the thing. I worked with him on it. The intent is the millage cap is for those city services. If you go above that 10% increase, then you have to go to the people. Please understand, this is not about an individual city council member. This is not about a city council or a mayor. These people have already made this decision before. They did an intergovernmental agreement with DeKalb County to provide fire service. Okay, this clarifies for them that if DeKalb County somehow would come back and try to take advantage of us and jack the prices, okay, and this clarifies they've got the option maybe to go do something different. It doesn't mean they're going to do it. It's been there. This is just clarifying. In fact, it's better than what we had before because it's a 5-year average, is what he's just said to you, versus the highest rate. So it's actually better with that than what we've actually got. That's the most key provision with what they've done.
And I'll just throw it. If you look at your tax bill, you can pull it right up into the DeKalb County Tax Assessor's Office. There are other line items that are billed separately as well, separate from city services, like sanitation, like water and sewer, like stormwater. You know, there's separate line items that are not part of the general fund budget for the city.
But this is the only one that affects ad valorem taxes if you want to create a new fund. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Well, then why does that have to be in there? Why does that have to be inserted at all?
I'm not sure which one I'm inserted with.
That's the best we can answer. I'm sorry if that's not clear. That's the best we can tell you.
So we're going to insert 10337B.
I can't tell you the specific language. I don't have it in front of me. We might change a word. We may change this. I'm telling you the general intent of what we're going to do. Is use that 5-year average, but Representative Taylor just told me.
So actually what you're telling me is you want to make some...
Come on. Well, we're going to have to move on to the next question.